My cousin Emma has an obsession with testing my boyfriends. Despite my repeated refusals, she finds great pleasure in this game. After successfully seducing them, she dumps them, and then informs everyone in our family group chat that my boyfriend is no good. Recently, she set her sights on a new target, my boyfriend of 6 months. I wasn't surprised that she discovered Jack so quickly. My mom happened to meet him when she came to my rented apartment to pick up some stuff. My mom's biggest flaw in life is her tendency to compare herself with others, commonly known as being green with envy. Emma married well, and even after her divorce, she still has an endless supply of alimony. Add to that, my aunt's relentless boasting about Emma in front of my mom. It has become my mom's life motto to have me marry someone even better than Emma's ex-husband. My lack of progress in this area has become her constant worry. I met Jack at a bar. I spotted him in the crowd, and it took me over 6 months to finally win him over. He's younger than Emma's ex-husband, more handsome, and even richer. Isn't this exactly what my mom wants? She immediately announced it in our family group chat and even sent out red envelopes, indicating that I would be getting married soon. When I saw this, I felt helpless and sent a waving hand emoji in the group. It's not that serious, family, don't make a big deal out of it. My mom immediately countered with a photo in the group chat. With his looks and that bag he's carrying, how can you not be serious? Emma chimed in. Wow, where did our little Lily find such a catch? Do you want your big sister to test him out for you? I didn't respond, but I knew that whether I liked it or not, she would try anyway. However, this time, I was well prepared. On the first day of our relationship, I told Jack, I have a very beautiful and sophisticated cousin. She likes to add my boyfriends on Snapchat. If she tries to add you, please don't accept. Jack jokingly asked, are you afraid I'll fall for her? I smiled lightly and said, I'm afraid she'll bewitch you, and you'll meet a terrible end. That's how all my previous boyfriends died. He hugged me and comforted me for a while. I would never do that. I'll only marry you in this lifetime, Lily. With my warning, when Emma first tried to add him, he consistently refused. He even complained to me several times. Your cousin Emma is really persistent. She's already tried to add me with over 10 different Snapchat accounts. I kissed him on the cheek to show my appreciation. You must stand firm. Don't accept just because she's playing all sorts of tricks. Without even pausing, he rejected another friend request from a new account, then turned to me and said, my parents want to have dinner with you. They say we've been dating for 6 months, and you haven't met them yet. They're really looking forward to meeting you after hearing me talk about you. I hesitated for a moment, then patted his head and said, let's wait a bit longer. I'm quite busy these days. How about I treat your parents to dinner after this quarter when I'm less busy? There's no need for you to treat them. They'd be overjoyed just to see you. We can eat at my family's hotel when the time comes. Perhaps because she couldn't add Jack on Snapchat, Emma became a bit impatient. She suggested coming to stay at my rented apartment for a while. Of course I wouldn't agree, but my mom was eager to show off the new apartment Jack had gotten for me. She couldn't wait to give Emma my address. So when I got home from work, Jack and Emma were sitting on opposite ends of the sofa, scrolling through their phones. Jack pulled me into the bedroom, looking a bit annoyed. I really didn't pay any attention to her. Why did she come to our place? I shrugged it off. My mom probably gave her the address. She's just like that. Just ignore her. He swore to heaven, but I felt a bit uneasy. My mind kept replaying the image of them sitting on the sofa. Jack wouldn't, would he? I had pursued him relentlessly for half a year before succeeding. He couldn't possibly be won over in just one evening, right? I still felt a bit anxious, partly due to my lack of self-confidence, and partly because I wasn't sure how long Jack could resist. Jack didn't stay over that night. He has another apartment in the next building, so he went back there. Early the next morning, he came over to bring me breakfast. There were 7 or 8 dishes spread out on the table. Emma saw this and smiled smugly. Brother-in-law, did you bring so much because you knew I was here today? Wow, I love the soup dumplings from this place, but they never do deliveries. Did you go and pack all this early in the morning? Jack looked up at her. No, I forgot you were here. I actually bought less than usual. It's mainly because Lily doesn't have a good appetite in the morning, so I buy more for her to choose from. Emma let out a long, oh, but her hands didn't stop fiddling with her newly done nails. This was her state when she was thinking. I figured if she was only slightly interested in Jack before, now she must be determined to have him. I unconsciously tightened my grip on Jack's hand, maybe feeling the pain. Jack looked at me. I hurriedly apologized and left the table. In the evening when I got off work, they were again sitting on opposite ends of the sofa. When I came back, Jack got up to greet me. He whispered to me, doesn't your cousin have a job? Why is she here every day? Doesn't she have her own place? What's the deal with her always being at our place? I looked up at him and said, if you add her on Snapchat, she might leave us alone. His expression stiffened. After a moment, he said, I just added her. She said she'd go home tomorrow if I did. I just said oh, and went into the bedroom. Jack followed me in, hugging me and asking if I was angry. I just don't want to see her every day. I added her, but I can block her, you know? Look, I've already set her to do not disturb. As he spoke, he took out his phone and held it up to my face, trying to prove his innocence. I didn't say anything, but my disappointment must have been obvious, because Jack held my hand and comforted me for a long time. At dinner, he kept trying to make conversation with me and piled food onto my plate. Emma saw this and just smiled. Our Jack is very attentive, isn't he? Jack ignored her. He was focused on discussing with me about the store layout problem for a direct sales brand he was working on. Emma deliberately made a noise at the dinner table to get our attention. When we looked at her, she smiled and said, oh my, you're talking about something I'm good at. I got a bit excited. She turned to Jack, who looked confused, and said, my ex-husband has a direct sales brand that's doing quite well. He has many channels that he could share with me. For Lily's sake, I could help you out. Then she went on to introduce the brand in detail. I could see that Jack was very tempted. He looked at me hesitantly, then at Emma, and asked, if it's your ex-husband's, wouldn't it be inconvenient? What's inconvenient about it? A little pillow talk and everything's solved, right? Just wait for my message. This time Jack didn't refuse. I knew his do not disturb setting for her would soon be turned off. Sure enough, after entering the room, he said to me, "Your cousin Emma is very generous and straightforward." I just looked up at him once, my eyes half red. He immediately came over to comfort me. I was just saying, how could I be interested in a woman who's still entangled with her ex-husband? Emma left my apartment the next day, and Jack didn't come back for several days. He said he was out of town for work because several direct sales stores were opening at the same time. A few times during video calls, I saw Emma in the background. He hurriedly explained. Cousin Emma called to ask about the progress. When she heard I was in the neighboring city, she came over to take a look. This time, thanks to cousin Emma's help, we saved a lot of trouble. Even my dad praised me. Second-generation rich kids spend their whole lives wanting to surpass their parents, and Jack was no exception. His father and grandfather were both very successful entrepreneurs. Jack wasn't bad either, but he was always overshadowed by his family's reputation. He had always wanted to prove himself. This time, the direct sales stores were set up in several cities at once, fast and in good locations. Even his father and grandfather praised him at the dinner table for doing a great job. Jack transferred me $200,000, saying it was to buy a bag for my cousin in my name. I know she helped me out for your sake, so it's better if you give it to her. I still have that much sense. Then he added, choose one that your cousin likes. If it's not enough, I'll transfer more to you. I took out my phone and called my sister, saying as soon as the call connected, thank you for helping my boyfriend. He says he wants to buy you a bag around $200,000. Do you have any preferences, or should I just transfer the money to you? There was a pause on the other end, then a slightly deep male voice came through. Lily, why is your boyfriend buying things for Emma? Oh my god, my cousin and my ex-cousin-in-law's contacts only differed by one character, and I had accidentally called my ex-cousin-in-law David. David, Emma, and I were all schoolmates. David was 1 year ahead of us, and we would run into each other during club activities. I only praised David for being considerate once, and the next day, Emma started pursuing him openly. When a girl chases a boy, success comes easily. 2 weeks later, they got together. After breaking up and getting back together several times, they got married right after graduation. 3 years after marriage, they divorced. To avoid any misunderstanding from this big spender who still sends my sister a monthly living allowance, I quickly explained, no, she helped my boyfriend with something big. But we should thank you too, brother-in-law. This time, my boyfriend's direct sales snack brand relied entirely on your resources. I thought she was being ambitious and planning to open her own business, but it turns out it's for your boyfriend. She's more attentive to him than she ever was to me. Before I could respond, he continued. All right, I get it. I'll buy the bag for her. You keep the money for yourself. I returned the money to Jack, telling him that my brother-in-law said not to worry about it. He seemed a bit puzzled. Isn't he your ex-brother-in-law? Why is he still so involved? He's her meal ticket. Where do you think all those designer brands and high-end lifestyle of my cousin come from? Jack's expression became a bit unnatural. Seeing me looking at him, he added, I see. That night, Emma came to my place again. She had been drinking and was sitting on the sofa with a flushed face, arguing with me. Clear-headed, logical, and articulate, she criticized me inside and out, up and down. Finally, pointing at Jack, she said to me, You think you can land a rich guy? Let me tell you, don't dream about it, Lily. You'll never be able to live the life I have. You told David I'm stealing your boyfriend so he'd cut off my allowance? I bet I could find a new sugar daddy tomorrow if I wanted to. You believe that? When Jack heard this, a spark flashed in his eyes. I suddenly felt it was all so pointless. I left them in the living room and went back to my bedroom. After this incident, Jack started working overtime and going on business trips more frequently. Even when I mentioned that I wasn't busy recently and could have dinner with his parents, he politely declined, saying it wasn't the right time yet. By this point, I understood.